Hello everyone, and welcome back to my history channel. Today we will be covering the topic of Prohibition and why it failed during the 1920s in the USA. Prohibition was the banning of alcohol sales in the USA, which was set out in the 18th Amendment on the 16th of January 1918. This anti-alcohol feeling had been growing for many years and had been widely supported by many from as early as the 1820s. However, following the end of the First World War, encouragement for the enforcement of Prohibition grew even further, resulting in the ultimate ratification of the 18th Amendment, which banned all sale and manufacture of alcohol. There were many reasons for the banning of alcohol, including the pressure that was exerted from groups such as the Anti-Saloon League and the Women's Christian Temperance Union, who put pressure on society to realize the damaging effects that alcohol was having, including the crime and violence that it was provoking and the immorality that it caused as a result. Women were also major advocates for prohibition, complaining of the hardships that they were facing as a result of male neglect and expenditure on alcohol instead of helping to financially support the home. In addition, directly following the First World War, many viewed alcohol as being associated with Germany, as many large alcohol companies were German. During a time of patriotism and hostility towards the Germans, this caused many to believe that consuming alcohol meant that they were accepting the culture of the opposition. With the growth of industrial employment, many employers also believed that alcohol compromised the efficiency of their workers. Therefore, renowned businessmen such as Henry Ford supported prohibition as it made his employees more reliable and dependable. After the introduction of prohibition, alcohol consumption decreased by 30%, and many people gave it up altogether. However, the success of the 18th Amendment was not profound, as many continued to purchase and consume alcohol and did not abide by the law. This meant that in 1933, the 18th Amendment was repealed and prohibition came to an end. But what were the reasons for this ultimate failure, and what caused the 18th Amendment to be reversed in 1933? To begin with, prohibition had firstly failed as a result of the establishment of speakeasies, which continued the supply of alcohol and allowed regular citizens to easily obtain liquor. These illegal bars became extremely common throughout the nation. In fact, there were more speakeasies during the Prohibition years than there had been before the 18th Amendment, and in New York alone there were 32,000. This shows just how common these illegal areas were. These were firstly threatening to the successes of prohibition due to the corruption within society that they promoted. Regular citizens were now being encouraged to break the law, and illegal practices became commonplace. This therefore led to an increasingly immoral and indifferent society, which regularly went against the government's expectations. In addition, this continued supply of alcohol undermined the efforts of the government to prohibit alcohol altogether, as the ability of alcohol to still be consumed questioned the real effect that the law had in the first place. This ease of obtaining alcohol can also be seen in the many ways in which it was produced within America during this time, as bootleggers who dealt in alcohol, moonshiners who distilled their own alcohol, and rum runners who smuggled alcohol allowed the trade to persist. This therefore further shows how the government was unable to properly enforce prohibition, which ultimately led to its failure. In addition, the corruption that was also encouraged within society can be seen within those enforcing prohibition. Many of the police officers and those in charge of ensuring that prohibition was obeyed were themselves part of the trade, which undermined efforts to properly enforce this act. This therefore meant that the law was unable to be enforced, further allowing the illegal trade to continue. One other reason for the failure of prohibition was because of the organised crime that was a consequence of the illegal alcohol trade. Gangsters such as Al Capone became increasingly common, damaging the morality of society and posing a threat to law and order. Gangs made about $2 billion out of sales of illegal alcohol during Prohibition, and Al Capone was known to give $30,000 tips to waiters, indicating the huge gains that they were able to make from this immoral practice. The St. Valentine's Day Massacre of 1929 evidenced the damage that was caused as a result of these gangs, as the standoff between the rival gangster groups left 7 of Al Capone's rivals dead. This therefore shows how prohibition caused crime to increase rather than decrease during this time, undermining its initial aims. Thank you for watching this video. I hope that this has helped you to learn more within this series of the USA in the 1920s. If you would like me to cover any other topics or have any questions, please comment them, and I look forward to the next video where we will be covering the Wall Street crash to end our topic of the USA in the 1920s.